good start. All right, friends, it's the morning show. I'm with Jackie Contessa and Kristin Messegee. Both
Good morning.
exceptional Enneagram teachers. I'm Jeff Cook. I'm a longtime professor of philosophy in Colorado. Happy new week, y'all.
What are you guys drinking?
Coffee with half and half.
Anything else?
No, sorry. Heavy cream. Duh.
This actually is important. Like, what is your coffee recipe? We need this fun fact to start us off.
Okay, so we have a lot of coffee. We've got great coffee options here. Ho ran out of milk. So I'm having one English breakfast tea and one spicy chai.
I'm a very dark roast with half and half and chocolate sort of person. And then I have my high protein shake for breakfast over here on the side.
Cheers, friends.
Cheers.
Good morning.
Well, today we're talking about the Enneagram and Happiness to start things off. Kristin and I have been having a long time discussion about what happiness is and how it overlaps with Enneagram. And that's where we're starting.
Indeed.
So
Wow, now I feel like a third wheel. Let's get started. I'm just kidding.
you
know
got
what's
brought
funny?
on to be the referee.
So here's what happened. Okay, here's what happened. I was interviewing Jeff, and he says offhandedly, blah, blah, happiness, which is, of course, the point of life. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? What? So now anything we say after this is us discussing it. But that is the
Okay.
origin of the story, is we were having this moment of like, what?
Okay, so Jeff, I'm so curious because when I was thinking about it, I could not stop conflating joy with happiness, and I was like, nope, keep them separate. How is happiness the point of life? No wrong answers.
What's real interesting in philosophy is that philosophers across the board all agree that human beings want to be happy, and go even so far as to say that's what you're made for. Like that's your primary target. That's what you're motivated by. Let's talk about Enneagram. But when they come to what is happiness, they all go in all sorts of different directions. It's kind of like saying, yes, we believe in God, but there's 82 definitions of what this looks like. And to, like, happiness has that kind of quality to it. We all want it. If your kids were to come to you and say, I'm happy, or your spouse was to come to you and say, I'm happy, you wouldn't say, oh, that's great. Well, what are you doing next? It's like at some level they've arrived.
Yeah.
That's true.
If you go to your therapist and they say, how are you doing? You say, you know what? I'm really happy. I'm not sure that you're doing any more work that day. And that's kind
I
of,
do wonder if a 4 was in the room, if this would get complicated. But let's just stick with where we're going. I like it.
so that invites the question, what's happiness? And I don't think there's easy answers here. And probably for listeners, for viewers, it's worth asking yourself, like, what do you think happiness actually is?
So then can it be relative? Do you remember, I hear all elements of different things. I hear contentment and I hear joy. And Jeff, do you remember when we were having a conversation and I think I was talking about sevens and I said, joy is the matriarch of all emotions and she's not coming unless all of her kids are welcome at your table. And I just, my brain's on fire a little because we're conflating happiness. We're not conflating, excuse me. The way that we are, is happiness, is it relative?
I would love to hear how you approach this. Where do you go, Kristin? And with, rightly so, Jackie, with the question on the table, is this relative? Isn't happiness just different for every person? I think that's a primary. So what do you think, Chris?
So according to Arthur Brooks, who I don't actually like, I want to put that out there. But here's what he says, and he teaches happiness at some fancy school. I can't remember which one. He says happiness is an outcome of 3 macronutrients, and they are enjoyment, satisfaction, and meaning and purpose. And this, to me, is super solid. And I think we can, really talk about the different numbers. And, I just think it's a great framework.
Can I share my quote next? Because I think that the quote that I have and the problem I've found with talking about happiness a little bit, I think is the prerequisites to being able to say, what do I enjoy? What satisfies me? And what gives me meaning and purpose? Okay. Brianna, I think Weiss is her last name. She wrote 101 Essays That Will Change the Way You Think. great book, great author. She has this quote. She said, "Happiness is being able to make the most of what you already have and are. And if you absolutely cannot do that, it is making a change, sometimes simple, other times daring, almost always requiring you to surrender your old self to develop a new one." And as soon as I read that, I thought about something I had heard Beatrice Chestnut say. I'm probably butchering it, but basically, long story short, personality has a defensive purpose. And if true happiness is always sort of betraying who you have to be to survive what you think you have to survive, I think our personality type sort of starts competing with that.
1,000,000%.
So I hear what you're saying, and I feel like, what's the path there? And like, so I think to myself, okay, I'm just looking out the side here. We are not if we are not unhappy because of what happened to us, but because of who we had to become to survive it. And if we want happiness, but it requires dismantling the identity, the personality that got us through, then the Enneagram has to be a map of 9 different ways we prioritize survival over the prerequisites for being happy.
I thought you said you weren't prepared.
I didn't say
hell, Jackie.
Okay, I said I fear I never understand the assignment.
Fair enough. You're just nailing it is all I'm saying.
Thank you. Tell me your thoughts. I'll read anything again because I have it written down, but what are your thoughts on this?
You guys came so strong. I was just going to quote the Beatles that happiness is a warm gun and move on. But bringing in the idea of what I heard was survival and contentment and enjoyment and satisfaction and meaning and purpose. And this kind of goes to the point that I was saying is we kind of have a lived experience of happiness, and we're trying to kind of reach out and grab hold of what is the thing. And I think this is fascinating that both this is what we're made for. We know that this is what we're kind of targeting, and we have such a difficult time bringing language to it at times, especially language that like resonates across the board.
Well, speaking for 6s, and
Yeah.
I actually think most people, we tend to think external circumstances have to be a certain way, right? When our ideas of happiness are that when this such and thus occurs, then I will naturally experience some degree of happiness, peace, whatever, some sort of positive emotion. And I think what science says, philosophy says, religion says is that's not true at all.
So, if I understand it correctly, we boil happiness down to its prerequisites. Is that?
Or like external circumstances will
Right.
provide it to me
Okay.
so naturally. Whereas what we're talking about is happiness is like it's a journey. It's like a thing that you dig up and you create. I'm very passionate about happiness now.
Kristin, I'm
Now
curious.
that I know what it is.
What does your best friend Arthur say about these 3 different, pillars or any thoughts
Well,
on
if
those?
you think about it, enjoyment is the only one that you can just kind of contact, right? Enjoyment is the only one you can be like, oh, I really like doing this, having this experience, whatever. I like looking at something. I can pretty much find what I enjoy. Satisfaction, you have to work for satisfaction. There's no way to get there without struggle. Meaning and purpose gives us the opportunity to make meaning out of anything that happens to us. So like for me, personal development, this evolution that we do with the Enneagram hits all 3 really nicely.
I hear these things and I think to myself, even including enjoyment, if I have to be somebody to survive what I am afraid of, I probably don't have access to, like, I'm even thinking of clients where even being able to nail down, can I say that this is enjoyment, is hard. And of course, then what say you about satisfaction and then meaning and purpose, right? It's like all a bit of a trickle. So I think personality has a defensive purpose. And it screws. It's like our main job. And how do you decide like enjoyment, then satisfaction, then meaning and purpose? How do you pursue something else other than surviving?
Yeah.
This is hitting what I wanted to hit is I think you're putting your thumb on what Enneagram is. Enneagram isn't the destination. Enneagram at best is a tool for helping you get there. And when asking the question, what's the destination? this is the destination, is let's have a conversation about where we're going. It's going to look something like happiness, but as the two of you are, I think, hinting at, it's not just pleasure. Like that's a thin, like happiness isn't there. It's going to be something more like, you brought up the word joy. For me, I would want to talk about flourishing. I would want to talk about like the happy life is one that is large in scale. That the happy life isn't like moments, but you look at a holistic life and say, this is a happy life, a well-lived life, a beautiful life. These are the things I think that are the target. But one that I notice that as I'm doing my notes, it's all idealism. The quote that I had was from Chesterton that, and take this away from the divine sense, but he says, everyone who knocks on the door of a brothel is looking for God. And I love the depth here that we're always pursuing something big in every endeavor, be those more carnal, or even if we try to pivot to more, hyper spiritual, it doesn't matter. We're looking for something big because I feel like we're made for something big. But when you say, what is this big thing? You're like, I don't know. It's out there.
Well, that's what I hear in my head is, well, what's worth abandoning? My defense. And
yes.
And more often than not in my own narrative, it sounds exactly like what I do to keep myself defended.
Right. There's something about, for me, there's something about accepting struggle as part of life that I really just kind of fundamentally don't think people do. It's the thing that drives me the most crazy about the humans that I contact. And this is why happiness was such a triggering word for me, because it's this, again, this idea that happy feels a certain light way, when it's like what we're talking about is something depthy.
What do you mean certain light way? Like what kind of light way?
Like I'm happy. Like,
is that
like positivity or some kind of light. I'm just having a good day. Right? Everything's going my way.
And that has to be true to be, I'm happy. That has to all be true.
I get it. I don't know. But like for me, this is about depth and work and struggle that then you can be on top of, right? It's like the happiness comes from, like I did that. I was who I wanted to be. I contacted things that are important to me to contact. I lived out of my values when it was super uncomfortable, that kind of thing. Like I feel good after that, right? I feel satisfaction in my being when I do something hard, much different than it's a good day.
That seems to point to maturity in my mind, that somebody who can say, I'm happy in the midst of struggle probably has some grounding.
Which is, to me, is the whole point of this, right? That it's like,
yeah.
You don't get to necessarily get super happy when you're a teenager because you don't know these things. You haven't even lived enough yet. It's just different.
Truth.
Because this is a life well lived. This is like something we really earn over time.
It points to like, what is it then? If like you're in the midst of struggle and things are difficult and yet you say you're happy, that probably points to what happiness really is, because that feels like the more weighty definition.
It's so okay. I hear that, and it's like that's the fine and good version. And it's funny because as soon as I'm thinking about that, like I'm coming in with thinking about my quote, right? And I think of the Upton Sinclair. I'm paraphrasing, but it is impossible to get somebody to understand something when their entire identity is built on not understanding it. Like there's a reason like that the pursuit of happiness is this big thing. And it's because like we're all knocking on the door and hoping God's behind somebody else and we're pursuing happiness. But like I think we refuse to understand that the prerequisite to being able to be anything or even define what happy is for us or lay any of those foundations is to say, I am no longer attempting to survive something that's not going to swallow me alive. Like core fears ish, like I'm no longer living my life with these patterns of thinking and feeling and behaving that say, I have to protect myself from that 24/7. that I think that's when the pursuit actually can start beginning, because you start working against your recurring bullshit patterns.
Exactly.
Yeah. We're not getting monetized because of you today, Jackie. All
I'm
your
sorry.
cussing.
I'm from New Jersey.
One thing I'm really proud of both of you. We're 20 minutes in, and you have not related happiness to other people once.
What do you mean? What would you have expected?
I was prepared for you guys to talk at some level about relationships, and you understanding that happiness is at a significant level about I need to be happy independent of the relationships around me. That's what I've in essence heard. I was real curious what you guys, where do you think the overlap of happiness and relationships comes for you guys?
From falling down and eating blank more times than I can count, okay? I know better, still do, but know better than to touch. Like, we have all of our emotion, every emotion that we have predisposed to us, we have to handle within ourselves and to share with others. And I know, don't touch happiness as it relates to others until you understand it for you, or else you're going to chase your tail, or else you're going to something. I still do it, but as we were preparing for like this conversation, I was just like, this has to be I know every single tool in my toolbox, at least understand it, at least have a concept of it before I look and say, should we put our tools together so we make a bigger box? Like do I always do that? No, but I have tried really hard to make the base of happiness start from other people. I have tried to work from the top down. It doesn't work that way. And you end up it's one kind of quote unquote pursuit of happiness. It's just not real, And so I think like, for me at this point, I'm like, I don't think that anything we can't name or claim or understand for ourselves or understand what we're working against. It's so hard to place it on other people now first.
Yeah.
Jackie, you're a 2. Kristin, you're a 6. That's why I bring up the relational side of us. You got thoughts, Kristin?
Yeah. No. Just a blank slate up here. No. I didn't talk about relationships because I wasn't talking about myself, right? I was talking globally. But if I think about me, who I can be and want to be in relationships is my churn. So like we're going through something. My son was just diagnosed with epilepsy, and the marriage, what the marriage is for that journey, who I am as a mom to this kid that that is so meaningful to me more than the outcomes or the like things that we can't control. Like who I get to be on this journey has the most meaning to me. So even though it's hard, I have so much choice, but it's all relational. It's how is the family expanding and growing and holding this total uncertainty, right? My favorite. But like, I don't want him to contact me with like fear in my face. I want him to contact me with like faith and like belief in him. That's so depthy to me. So that's how for me, it's all relationship, but I understand for other people, it wouldn't be, which is frankly wild to me, but
I appreciate that distinction because yes, when I look at it for me, it is hard because I think cognitively I can be like, no, me, like I have to start with, happiness for me first. But I was just having a conversation with my husband the other day about one of the things I realized about myself is like, if I don't feel, keyword, if I don't feel like we are okay, I am not able to go out there and build a me and do a me and have fun and not feel like half of my brain is inside the house going, huh. And so it's funny because I think like, relationally, dealing with how we deal with people and with relationships, I think is part of a prerequisite for, hey, how do I have space for tolerating what could be happiness at some point? Like you have like, and I so it's interesting because I think every type is going to have like 2s and 6s. That might be the case, mostly 2s. Like I think everyone's going to have their thing that might be literally butting heads and competing with the beginning of being able to establish what is happy, what is enjoyment, what is satisfaction, right? And so for 2s, that's probably like, so it's interesting because literally it's a prerequisite. I'm like, oh, like if we're good, then I can fart around at Barnes and Nobles all day and not care that he's like, you know, and he doesn't care. For me personally, are a prerequisite type of thing that I need to work out to even have the space to consider what happy means. If not, I'm just like, I just want to be happy. And it's elusive. Like, it's not like a thing. But I don't know if it's like that for everybody. I think there's a placeholder there for everybody to have their thing in between them and happy. Yeah.
This is the overlap that I was looking for with the Enneagram and happiness. I think that like we can talk philosophically about what happiness is, but when you knuckle it down to each of the types and you really say what are the things that truly speak to your soul, engage how you come to the world, and ping for you as this is the way that things ought to be, it's actually going to be really different. My primary is happiness, flourishing, the good life. All are much more about character traits that I put on. If I am in the world acting wisely, moderately, courageously, lovingly, filled with all these sorts of qualities that I envision being part of the good life, that is pings for me as this is what happiness is. And I can confront any obstacle, any relational issues, because I'll be able to navigate those well. And happiness will, like the fruit of being that kind of person will be quite enjoyable, but the happy life, the well-lived life will be those virtues. But I think that's very one-ish as I say it and paint it. And I don't think that this is like, I think for, especially for 2s, 4s, and 6s, I imagine it will be the case that the relational component is just inescapable. When saying, am I happy? It will be, are the people in my life and I connected in ways that matter? Am I wrong? You being a 2 and a 6?
I don't know. I mean, really, we are all social creatures to some degree. So maybe just the amount at which that shows up, and also instincts are going to be at play. Like, so I think there's a lot of difference there, and not only to those 3 numbers at all.
I'm curious, Jeff, if for you, as I thought about this for once, but perhaps it kind of works for everybody. Like for you, is there one kind of happiness where it's the pursuit of happiness, and then another kind of happiness where it's happiness in the moment? Because a lot of times, you work with a coach, and a lot of times one of the things you're going to say is like, I'm just not happy, or I'm like, I feel my patterns are making me miserable, blah, blah, blah. And a lot of the times when we talk about, let's say, something in the cousin family of happiness with type 1s, there's a lot of like feeling a loss of control when like in letting go and feeling that happiness in the moment. Yet happiness is this theory to reach, to strive towards. And I'm so curious, like, I wonder if we just metabolize that happiness is going to be life as we imagine it at its peak based on who we are right now. And I wonder moment to moment what that looks like. And maybe that applies for everybody, but I'm curious for you as a 1 moment to moment versus in theory.
For me, I think I come to the question looking at other people first, judgmental one that I am. And I can say this person may be filled with delight, but they're not happy. I know they're not happy. And then I apply that same kind of filter to myself. It, like the things that really ping for me is like, well, what is happiness then? Because I can see, like, I can quote unquote get happy with a large bottle of gin, but I also can look at others and say that's probably not happiness.
It's enjoyment.
It's enjoyment.
It's a part.
But like, what's the depthy, flourishing kind of happiness I crave? For me as a 1, it's gonna look something like putting on certain qualities for myself that result in building some things that I think are beautiful and worthy, and move things forward that I care about. The more that I'm thinking about happiness on these fronts, is it like how I assess my own happiness comes very much from that place of thinking about myself, thinking about my work, thinking about the relationships that I've cultivated, and then allowing those to wash over me.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would be very curious if that's true of y'all in terms of like when you are self-assessing, when you're by yourself and you kind of say, am I happy? If somebody were to ask you, am I happy?
Am I self-assessing? You said I was a 2.
Yeah, right. Well, if someone forced you, you're in a room all by yourself until you
That's
come
not a
out with an
question
answer.
I would ever ask myself.
No? You would never ask yourself if you're happy?
No. What?
If somebody,
would.
okay, so
I would.
the
I
therapist
would
sits you.
now.
No.
Well, this is fascinating to me. Go.
What do you ask yourself when you're
Now
alone?
we're back to the freaking very beginning where Jeff and I just can't get each other.
So then I guess when I hear this, right, I hear a split down the middle conversation, but not in differences. I hear to be able to access happiness as it would actually land and ping for you as a person, you must understand what you enjoy, what satisfies you, and what gives you a sense of meaning and purpose.
Right.
If you struggle to do that, if you find that you attempt to do this and you hurl yourself at a brick wall, you may need to be doing some disconnecting from who you want to be happy and who you have to be to survive within your Enneagram type.
Right.
Right. I hear.
But I don't struggle there. I'm like very satisfied as a
Girl, I didn't say you struggle.
So that's what I mean. Like, I would never be like, am I happy? Because I feel deeply satisfied, which to me is just a much more powerful
How do you know?
word.
How do you, yeah.
I mean, I feel it in my satisfaction feels so solid.
What does
and
solid mean and
grounded.
feel like? What does that mean?
Oh, I'm talking. I'm like, I literally feel in my body. I don't feel disconnected. I don't feel spinny in my head. I just feel real. And I know I like have worked so hard. I like value my efforts so deeply.
So it's not a question of am I happy, because you know it when it's there, but is there an action towards it when you sense that it's not there? What is the opposite of that like? And is that unhappiness directly? Like I'm so curious about
Well, to your point, Jackie, I know when I know when my personality's acting up. I'm extremely familiar with 16 patterns. So when I notice like, okay, like I know it so well. So then to your point, it's noticing it and unhooking, doing the work in real time. That process is deeply meaningful to me. So it's such a self-fulfilling, virtuous cycle. Like I value doing my work.
And
it feels so good.
I'm going to argue that in your favor, right? That because you can likely answer what you enjoy, what satisfies you, what gives you meaning and purpose, because you have untethered yourself from who you had to be to survive, even when you're off track, you can get back on track. Is that what I'm hearing correctly?
Yeah.
Sounds good.
And some
Sounds
times
good.
are harder than others, obviously. But because
Did you guys hear
I
her?
value the work, and this is what this is what trips me up with humans the most is, right, people who don't value doing their own personal development, because it's probably my top value. So I feel lucky there, actually. I feel like, well, that's lucky. And I just can't, I go really sideways with people who just don't have that as a value. It's like, well, good luck. I don't know.
Wow, yeah. Jeff, any thoughts?
I got lots of thoughts. The thing that is
Share
going up in my mind, and I love Kristin's answer here, is just how intuitive her assessment of happiness is, which isn't her center.
No.
She's living as a 6. She takes in the world through her head. If you're in intuition, you're in security space when you're doing that assessment, is what I heard. And I'm actually the opposite. So I move from my body into my head when I'm in security. You move from your head into your body when you're in security. You'll notice when I'm talking about happiness, how cognitive and heady it is. And when Kristin is talking about happiness, how intuitive and physical it is. The centers, I think, are really helpful here. And what's going to be interesting is Jackie's going to be in the heart all day long on these fronts, both in her center and in security for it too. She's moving to 4 space. I love the idea of how do you know? How do you know that you're happy? I bet you we're going to, if we pause for a second, it's going to be coming through one of those centers, and that will probably communicate quite a bit about where we are in the world.
It's funny because I just ask myself, like, what makes me happy? Just as you're talking, and I am picturing myself in Long Island tomorrow with my nieces and my nephews and my husband, and his mom and his brother, and that makes me happy. That's the first thing I think of. Like, that makes me happy. But it's an interesting journey to not, like, if I had that and I didn't actually do the work, I didn't have the structure or the foundation, or just, if I didn't do the work, like Kristin said, I don't think it would ping as happiness, even if I know it's what I want. It wouldn't be able to land. I don't think it'd be able to stick, right? I think doing the work makes, even if you have what you want tangibly, I think it's doing the work that allows you to be able to go, yes, this does make me happy. This does give me enjoyment. This does give me satisfaction. This does give me meaning and purpose. And I don't know if
what would it be like before? Like, how would the same scenario?
So I, 2s are often happy people and very sad in their heart. They are like really sad in their heart. They're not like, I think we think of like 4s as emo. And so that,
I think this is really true. Yeah.
I agree.
Not to be too, like, not to get into 2s too much, right? But the whole rigmarole of like, okay, I disconnect from my needs. I give into yours. The grief just sits there. And it's like, I often refer to it as like, you are starving. And every time you're about to faint, Devil Wears Prada, you eat a cube of cheese. And like, you don't faint, but you also aren't like, so you don't even know that what's happening is what you want. And it's because you're not taking care of yourself. Like, you don't even know you're in front of exactly what you want.
Because when we say taking care of ourselves, there's the sort of like logistical pieces there, but kind of what I hear you saying is like, just not paying attention.
100%.
And like
all of my energy out there.
Letting it kind of live inside of you. It's like, here you are going to this exact same scenario, and it's like, you can let it feed you.
That is, me in the thick of literally my personality patterns, telling myself, you must do everything in your power to prove that you're lovable. And yeah, I could be in a room full of 1,000 happinesses, and I'd be like, I want this one person who is so emotionally distant from themselves to choose me and like me. Like, do you know what I'm saying? So doing that work makes you go. It's funny because I think maybe tangibly in a lot of, like, once we do the work, if we look around and our tangible situations are exactly the same, we can feel happy, right? Jeff earlier said, like,
or we make a change
about people.
Right. Yeah.
Yes. Or we make a change. There's something about being able to be happy when things are not well and it's genuine.
It's the point, because it
is the point.
I'm not going to swear. Good effing luck in life, right? If you can't feel okay when things are not okay. I mean, good luck to you.
Do you guys watch The Good Place?
Yeah.
I wish
shows ever.
I wish that automatically. What? Okay, so long story short, in the show, they can't curse, and so as they're talking, it like corrects them. So she'll be like, "What the fork?
Yeah,
why did you say fork?" And
that's
I
what I'll
wish
have to do on the morning show.
I wish real life did that.
Creative.
Seriously. I wish I like opened my mouth and it was like, "Oh, sharp." Oh, that is a word. Bad word.
I didn't mean to sabotage our authenticity by saying that we can't monetize this. We can't monetize this. We need like 100,000 people to watch this in order to actually make a buck. So it may not be all that important. As you were talking, Jackie, the thing that was going through my mind was, can you be happy and filled with grief at the same time? That would be the test.
That's the work, right? Because you must be.
And what does that even look like?
If you're
what does that
paying
mean?
any attention to anything, that has to be true.
If you want anything, you have to do the work. If you want happiness, you have to do the work. If you want to feel sad all day, you have to actually do the work. You have to make peace with everything.
That's the target of the work then, isn't it? The target of the work is being, quote unquote, happy. Whatever we're going to mean by that.
It's working towards being happy and doing what we have to do.
Okay. You know how we say, I don't know what y'all say. I say, right, you can't actually force yourself into your security number. You create the conditions, and then every now and again, you plop up there. You know, you didn't freaking do it. It's above our pay grade. So this is how I'm seeing happiness. It's something that we work, we do all these things, we live our lives well, and then occasionally we get these moments of like true happiness, but it's not like a place we stay. It's just like a thing. So it's not, you can't create it. You can only do the work and create the context.
And that's true of everything. And why is it that we immediately read when we don't feel happy? Right? You don't say in everything all the time.
It's an American problem. I mean, I would be very curious how people, and I truly mean this, right? It's because
my family in Turkey is never like, well, we're not happy. Like they're always
so
like,
there's something here. I mean, we're
safe, we're healthy. Like,
yeah, we have a real issue in this country with actual feelings and valuing them, and like, you know, it's a very like go do be. But unfortunately, oh gosh, it's written into our documents, right? That we actually can pursue things, and it will be hard and struggly, but our culture has kind of whitewashed all that.
Yeah.
One of my favorite comments on American culture is about advertisements. And the gentleman said, look, in Canada, they sell you dish detergent. And they're like, this is dish detergent and it will wash your dishes. In America, this is a miracle product that will make you beautiful and people will want to have sex with you.
Exactly.
United States of advertising.
Exactly. So this is partly why I think we're all so confused, is we've literally been sold this idea that we don't have to feel pain. If you're doing it right, you don't actually have to feel pain. And what we're saying is the exact opposite. We're saying, well, if you actually want to get where you're going, you have to contact discomfort, which is why we use the Enneagram as a tool, because the Enneagram's like, and if you want to know what that might be, got some thoughts.
Let's pivot to that. Landing the plane for here the last 15 minutes. What does the Enneagram say about happiness? When you put the filter of the Enneagram over that topic of happiness.
I think Jackie said it best. It shows you what's in your way. It shows you where you're going about it the exact sort of wrong direction.
I don't know if the Enneagram says anything directly or specifically about happiness, but if happiness is the goal of life, as we were saying, like there's a very specific letting go that has to happen. And the Enneagram doesn't say that that is for happiness or that is for this or that. It says that is for you. Like, I think the Enneagram does say you have to believe, and maybe this is a hard thing, sorry, projecting, but like you have to believe that you are worthy of the damn work that you're about to do, because by proxy, you have to eliminate things that have literally been scaffolding for so long. I think that's what the Enneagram says about the possibility of happiness.
Well, it does talk about a return to essence, right? Which, I mean, at the end of the day, that's kind of like being reunited with God.
Is that you at happiness?
Yes.
You think?
I like it. I do.
Humility, me at happiness. I like it.
This may be something to pick up in a future topic, because I'm skeptical of essence.
Because you don't like that word. That's not your frame.
Well, maybe there you go.
But can't you just say it the way it works for you?
The heck?
I don't know that I think it's more the trajectory. I think my intuition about the happy life and the good life is not that I'm returning anywhere. I'm going forward. I'm evolving. I'm growing. I'm becoming much bigger than I was in the past.
There's nothing circular there for you. There's nothing like
when I hear or talk about essence with clients and such like that, I often say that this is something that you can also, like, you can see it in people, like as a two. I can see humility in people. I can understand it, and I can reach for it. And as we do that, and as we do what is required to be somebody that does that naturally, you are humble. You become humble. And I think that is like, I think work is required, but I think it's a nice benchmark for us and where we can go. But it's so hard to say we're returning somewhere, because for some of us it's completely new, but it's completely you know? So I don't know.
Are you saying humility? I'm like, what's the word? Humility? Humility is a part of this for sure. I mean, for you it would be, right, Jackie?
No, I'm saying for me.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm saying for me.
Right.
As an example.
Yeah. So for me to go from, fear to faith, sure, maybe it's
right, to
not a
say, okay,
returning.
I know what faith looks like. I'm going to try to reach for this. And as we build the muscles and we go, like, as to use your phrasing, build the conditions to go, how do I continue? Right. I think it's a good benchmark for us for the work. Thoughts, Jeff?
No knock on if it's the case that the philosophy that returning does a lot of work for you, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily. It's just, I think for me, it's the idea that what we seek was never apart from us. So maybe returning isn't it, but like we're the ones in the way of connecting with what's here. So maybe it's just always here as opposed to like a going back or toward.
Yeah.
Right. We take off the mask.
Could that be something about, even if it's something that we can't really remember, a moment where we essentially said yes in real. I actually don't know. I disagree with everything I'm saying right now. Sorry, because when
we do get into very specific like belief systems, which we can totally avoid.
One of the things that I get asked a lot is like nature, nurture, and I started
that question drives me.
I actually started reading
forking nuts. It drives me forking crazy, that question.
Personality and wholeness in therapy, and it's sort of added to like this anyway. Nurture starts the last 3 months in utero. So anyway, disregard everything I was saying because never mind. Bye.
I just want to go on record about how much I forking hate that question. Okay, so you can edit out me saying it 5 times, but let's make sure that I'm on the record.
On the record, I'm much more inclined to say nature, but I mean, on the idea of happiness, I feel like there are ends that we are always kind of growing and becoming and experiencing. I think our souls over time become, if we're healthy, more and more and more and more robust. And this is the proper end target. I think I personally think that you're an everlasting being, and that's what you're made for. You're made to just consistently grow and evolve and become more. Both of you guys will probably know we started our book with the idea that an acorn thinks something ridiculous when it looks at an oak tree, and yet what it believes is entirely true, that I am supposed to look like that.
Yeah.
For me, that pings as both what our proper function is and what happiness looks like. It looks like something. It looks like me becoming. And so I think this is why I don't resonate as strongly. Although I don't have past tools, so like that isn't a place that I go in terms of like trying to get my meaning from what's come before. A lot of my security move into 7 is very forward moving, and so that propels a lot of what I think I think happiness is probably going to look like. You guys,
Jeff, do you not agree with the idea that in the becoming we're shedding a lot of things?
I do.
We have to let go of a lot of things.
I resonate with what Jackie's saying here and what you're confirming. I need to do work here. I need to be actually a lot more aware on these fronts for myself. And as Jackie was bringing that up, it was pinging for me. That's something that needs a little bit more attention both in my thought and my practice. I'm not exactly sure what that looks like for me.
Well, you can let us know next week.
And say, call me anytime.
What does growth look like?
We'll all be excited to hear.
Like,
So are you still dysfunctional over there?
That'll make me happy.
But yeah, I mean, so if it's the case that I idealist that I am, I come to Enneagram thinking that your Enneagram type is a good thing. It is a mark of what your soul is fashioned like, and that you at your best are still your type. There may be an opposite way of thinking about this that is real common, that I'm hearing in part in Jackie's language, that your Enneagram type emerges as a response to what the world is doing to you, and it becomes a survival mechanism. It becomes what is grabbed. Now, you don't have to affirm
She
this,
didn't
but
say
there
that.
are
I didn't say that.
There are lots of people who do hold this, that
I disagree with that.
Your Enneagram type is actually a negative to be transcended. The quicker that you can get rid of your type, the better off that you
No,
going
I
to
don't
be.
think that's the teaching at all. I think it's as
I think some
Jackie
people
said,
do that though. I think that's sometimes the messaging that comes across. I think so.
Well, we'd have to name names because I've never thought of Enneagram that way. It's the
no,
behaviors.
I do think that there is a little bit of simply leaning on you can't be that, you can't be that, you can't be that, you can't be that, right? Like stop doing that, stop doing that, stop doing that, right? I think that's where the language leans, and what else do we deduce? I think that we are who we are, and the way that we metabolize the world, even if that starts the last 3 months in utero, these survival mechanisms, for me being who I am as a 2, for you being who you are as a 6, and separate from who you are as an individual, I think comes to the surface. And we can manage that once we do the work of saying, hey, I don't need to actually have these spikes up, because there is very little from which I actually need to be protected compared to what I thought.
I think
Right?
where
So-
we tipped was getting into a focus on behavior, which is what a lot of Enneagram people
Yeah.
do, and
Yes.
forget or don't know how to actually work with the inner
The
life.
core. Yeah.
Because what is true is that our behaviors tend to start to trip us up, particularly as we get older and need to be doing this growth and development and whatever. So it's very much a case for me of like, what got us here won't get us there.
Yes. Yes.
So it's not be a different human, but it very much is like, what's not working for you? What's tripping you up? That's important. That matters. And that's an internal shift, not anyway, whatever. But you are going to act different also.
To name names, it's the childhood wound, folks. Who want to anchor? Who want to anchor Enneagram in psychological theory that is very, I dare say, nurture heavy. That personality comes in through how you've been cared for by your caretakers, and that in early development you will have experienced, apparently you can't help but experience, a major trauma that has shaped you. That may be a little too far. I'm not being gracious with the viewpoint, but
I don't feel gracious at all. So you're doing a great job describing.
But I think the childhood wound folks want to say that's where type comes. So your Enneagram type is the result of a childhood wound, and for the remainder of your life experience, that informs your fears, your sense of self, what you want in the world. And because it's a wound, it is something to be transcended.
Which
And
doesn't make sense, because 2 babies could have the same thing happen, right? And they would respond to the thing.
right?
Or even you look at
Based on what's
siblings. No two
already
kids.
there.
Where does the phrase "no 2 kids are ever raised in the same family" come from?
Exactly.
It comes from the kids. It's from the individual. Yeah.
Right.
Interesting.
Well, I'm not saying that it's right or wrong. I'm just saying that that's where that comes in.
I think-
tend to
I-
think
People who love that theory aren't going to find,
So
a friend in me. That's all I'm saying. I mean,
let's say I work with
that's not true. That's
let's say
extreme.
let's say I work with a 2, Susie Cream Cheese, and she comes to me and she has a love hunger that she cannot even understand.
Yeah.
And she finds herself doing all that she can and not being able to see that these things are markers of love from her parents, who she has wonderful relationships with, because she herself feels she is or she is not giving, appropriate attention to herself, blah, 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 blah. I think she was born as she is. I don't think when I read like when I talk about childhood wounds and things like that with Susie Cream Cheese, it pings. But mommy never said this and daddy never said that. And we had a really great genuinely a very healthy family, and we liked each other and we loved each other and blah, 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 blah. I think that you are who you are, but I'm also a 2. And as we discussed earlier, my childhood was ghetto. And so I had all of the same internal everything as Susie at 4 and after, and no traumatic event here, but yes, a traumatic event there, and we both are. Mm-hmm. And so I think at the end of the day, we can fight this to death, but maybe we all just eat the fish and spit out the bones and do the damn work and call it a day. And shout out Susie Cream Cheese.
Because it's all about the utility of the theory. That's my point. If it works for people and it does something for them, right? Gets them somewhere, like that's totally fine. If it gets into what I always hear, which is this like whoosh back to the past, where now we're like spending time being mad at mom and dad again. And that's where I'm my type. That's why I'm just like, we've lost the plot, because we need to be doing our work regardless of that, which is why I'm a coach and not a therapist. But like, it's really just like, what's useful? And if it's useful and meaningful and helpful, kind of, Jeff, like you said, like I'm actually all for it. I don't find it with the people I work with that it goes that way. It's like, okay, well, we are what we are now. So
at some point we'll have to talk about this, because I know this has also been a topic that is brought up in terms of when doing coaching or when doing the work, is there a proper target? Somebody comes into your space, you are helping coach them. Do you have a target in mind of, I would love to lead this person to a certain spot, get them somewhere?
How dare you draw? You can't. This is such BS, Jeff.
Yes.
You're just like,
No.
here's a super juicy thing. Blue. Oh wait, here's another one. Blue.
Well, in good news, we're starting a show, and we need topics the foreseeable future, or else we're going to show up and go, okay,
let's
what
talk
are you
about happiness
drinking
again.
No
this morning?
Yeah, it's good. So yes, I'm like, let's just be here for 6 hours. Let's just do it all. Great. It's great.
Let's just knock it all out. Well, I feel like this is a good, not hitting a conclusive point, but a good intro for us. Last thoughts on
I feel
Enneagram
satisfied.
and Happiness, which will never be last thoughts, because happiness is an endless topic, I think is probably what we're going to discover. But
It's just an actual pursuit, I think, is what we all, to some degree, agree on, right? It is a pursuit.
you're going to go with Jefferson here.
Depthy and important. Period.
My last thoughts are the end of the quote that I brought about like making the change. Friends, if you want to go for happiness or think about happiness for the first time ever, or understand what the work looks like, the change is sometimes simple, other times daring, almost always requiring you to surrender your old self and develop a new one. And I wish everyone good luck on their happiness.
We make it,
Jackie, you're so much nicer than me. You're like, I wish everyone good luck.
I want everyone to like me.
sucker.
I want every single person to like me. That's the problem.
I imagine we'll get into this in the future, but one of the things the Enneagram exposes is your best self and your worst self, and that they're two sides of the same coin. And it names something really helpful, which is your virtues. And for me, this is where a clue into where happiness is probably going to lie is there's something like virtues are holy ideas, elevation of your repressed center that really matter in terms of becoming a balanced whole human being. And in my view, that's probably going to be the road toward happiness. So juicy end that I pitched earlier, if I was suggesting a target for somebody who might walk into my office for coaching, which will never happen because I don't coach.
It's not for the faint of heart, Jeff.
That's where I'm going, because I'm really, really bad at it, as has been shown a couple of times. I think that's where I go. You guys are the best friends.
Wait,
who are
hold
listening.
on. So that's what you said. That's where you would go. If someone would walk in and you'd be like, let's look at your number, and then I would point you. That's what you were saying? Okay.
Because I know your number, I know your map. And since I know your map, I also can look at the map and identify the spot on the map labeled happiness.
Okay, we'll definitely talk more about that.
Oh.
Make a note.
Is there a name for that? We talked about Enneagram and happiness, Enneagram and maps, Enneagram and
I don't know. We'll figure
coaching, targets.
it out. Knowing what other people should do. We could
What is
call
good for
that
other
one.
people. Next time, we're talking about the Enneagram and advice, apparently.
Are we?
Well,
I have so much, and I want everyone to like me, and it's gonna be so
That's
good.
a good one.
Wait, is that a fake topic?
Let's build on what you guys are saying. Like, what somebody comes into your space, you're Enneagram informed.
I'm
Like,
sweating.
what are you saying to them? Because
That's
Okay.
I'm
let's
saying
table
I'm
it.
saying 9. I'm saying 9. Excuse me. I'm saying more than 9. How many? I'm saying whatever the amount of clients I have on my roster is. Like, it's different because what you said
Fair.
earlier, Jeff. You said I know your map.
Yeah.
Yes. But I also have to then take their life and go, okay, here, here. Why are they using? Why are you using that tool
Kristin
right here?
disagrees. Am I not wrong?
I don't know that that's true. I think that there's a level of
It can't be true or false. It's what I do.
I think I have learned, I will say, to bring a level of humility to each person to where I really assume like I should know a lot. All of my clients are 6s. I've been doing this for 7 years. But what I've learned is I need to learn more first.
Oh yeah, there's
So it is different. We're the same, but we're different. And so I lead with that mentally,
that's
which
interesting.
is hard, actually.
You
It
do
is a
want to have
different
the
work-
6-hour conversation. This is such a good topic. See, it's got energy.
Sorry.
Next time, Enneagram and advice.
Let's do it. Yeah.
Hey, friends, if you want to get in touch with Jackie or Kristin, they are both available on Instagram. Easy to find. Jackie Contessa, Kristin Messegee. And I'm Jeff Cook. I'm at Around the Circle. If you want to get involved with the work that I'm doing, you can go to aroundthecircle.org. And there you go. Pilot episode. How you guys
Word.
feel?
Check.
so good.
Satisfied.
Happiness. Cut.
That is
How
it.
about you,
So
Jeff?
land. I feel great, but I'm gonna land with Jackie's line there, which was way better.
That was good. That
You
was
guys
good.
are the best. I'll see you next week.
Okay, that was fun.